So before we lose Mark, you're a police officer right now. Police officers getting a lot of attention in social media and in the world. Where are they right? Where are they wrong?
Ooh, I'm gonna get some hate no matter what I say. Thanks for throwing
It's a
me.
well-designed question.
Yeah, sure.
What do you want to be
Okay.
disliked for?
So obviously the big hot button issue now is George Floyd and systemic racism. I have not yet met a single officer that that believes that the killing of George Floyd was justified. No, you can't sit on a guy's freaking throat for minutes at any point ever justify that. And that's where, I know we're getting a bad rap right now. Those of us that are in law enforcement, getting a bad rap right now. But this is one of the things that as I said, I've yet to meet one single officer that agrees that was a good thing. So are we right? I think we need to work on people. As I said, one of the things I did in the show was I got to see things from the other side. So I'm not going to say all the DOs were bad, and that was the one thing about the show, that they didn't concentrate on the good good DOs. I'm sure, having done 60 days in federal prison, you would say there were a few good COs. There are a lot of good officers out there, and unfortunately, it's almost like it seems like we're lumped together with all the bad officers. I would say there are a lot more good officers than bad officers. But I mean, if we're going to have an honest dialogue about racism in America or police brutality, we've got to also say, hey, there are some bad officers out there, and there absolutely are. I think we've got to root out the bad officers, and get them out of law enforcement. But on the same token, I think the general public has to understand that 90%, I would say, the majority of officers, 90% of officers are good officers, and we're just doing a tough job.
The criticism is, if 90% are good, that same 90% looks the other way regarding the bad, right? They are there to enforce the law. And you could take the George Floyd incident. There were 4 people there. Are all 4 of them that 10%? Is that the argument? Or maybe some of those guys just go along too easily?
I think, and I'm only going on what I'm trying to remember here. On the George Floyd incident, they were all rookie. Had just, like, one of them had only been on the week. And I think when you're new, you automatically defer to the senior officer. But no, I think we have to root out bad where there's bad, and we have to call it out. The problem is, just like where whatever it is you guys do, you might have a really bad employee, and no matter what you say, it's up to the administration to, it's up to management to handle the disciplinary issues. But I will tell you, we don't go to shift briefing, and at no point do they say, hey, today we're going to go kill a black person. That doesn't happen. And I think we get an unfair rap. Uh-oh. Go ahead.
I think sometimes they do. I mean, you're like, that never happens. Well, it probably happens sometimes.
Okay, in my experience.
And I think it's a false comparison to say that, like, whatever jobs that we might do, there might be another employee that's doing something wrong and it's not really on us. But law enforcement, it literally is their job to, like, enforce the law. And so I think that you talked earlier about how in the Army and in law enforcement, you don't see color. And I definitely believe that's true. You don't see white, you don't see black or brown, but I think they definitely see blue and green. I think that in the Army, I think you're going to see green. I think, we're on the same team here. We're all green. And in the police force, I think, we're all blue here. They're not. I think there's a lot of that goes on. It's interesting this week. I see so many of the Atlanta Police Department stepping off the job.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm thrilled about that. They should just get fired, right? Like, if you want to self-identify as someone who's in support of, for example, shooting an unarmed guy running away in the back, great. I'm glad you self-identified. I appreciate that. Here we thought we were going to have to figure out which one of you were in favor of that, and now you come forward and tell us. Congratulations.
Yeah, if they're not showing up for work, they're already they take an oath as a police officer. They're already going against their oath. Just go ahead and let those people go.
Well, you can't just not go to work in any job, or of course you get fired.
If the challenge is figuring out which ones are the bad ones, and then they come forward and say it's me, thank you for your help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there are officers out there that have forgot their oath. They forgot it is a people. It's a people. I mean, it is a public service job, which means I work for the public. Yes, there are times I can't be nice. There are times I have to do a job. But for the most part, what I will tell people that I talk with is you dictate the level of nicety or the level of service that I'm going to give you. In other words, if you're cool, I'm going to be cool. And I think you guys know me well enough, especially watching my shows. My personality on the show doesn't differ than in law enforcement. And if anything, as I said, having done the show, it opened my eyes to people that are stuck in the system. Yeah, there are people, and I think no matter what side of the political aisle you sit, we'll all agree there are people that deserve to be in prison for the rest of their life, period. But then oftentimes there are people that it's an addiction issue. It's a whatever issue it may be. It's let's get to the root of the problem. I'm a big proponent of rehab. I'm a big proponent of people aren't going to change until we figure out what the issue is, and we can address that issue. You can keep them incarcerated, and then it's just a big circle of reincarceration. But let's figure out, hey, are they addicted? Let's get them off the drug. Let's get them off. Fight the addiction, because oftentimes these guys will come in and they'll suitcase in drugs, and they're just as messed up in jail as they were on the street. Let's give them a chance. Let's give people a fighting chance to overcome whatever it is. Yes, the people that commit murder, the people that commit rape, the people that deserve to be in prison, they need to be. But a good majority of people, I think, we need to address it. And I think as an officer, you can't forget that you're in people serving business. Yes, there are some interactions that I have that don't end in with the greatest of outcomes, but much more often than that, I try to be as nice to people as I possibly can. To each his own, I guess. But as I said, just doing the show has, I think, helped me in my career, because I don't go in yelling and screaming at people. There are sometimes you have to be firm and fair and all that, but that's in fact, actually, that's one of the key words. You have to be firm, but you have to be fair. And I think you always have to be fair. I'm not going to go in there treating every person I interact with like some jerk. And I understand the majority of them. I understand they're all people. Even the people that are, that are felons, that are.
Like murderers, rapists, the truly evil ones.
The truly evil ones, I still treat them like people. I've got a job to do, and I believe you should be in prison for the rest of your life on some of them. That doesn't mean I have to, treat you like crap in the process of doing it.
I think most people would definitely be on board with your rehab point of view. Like if it's a war on drugs style thing where someone's in there for fucking ever because of some drug charge in the late 80s, of course, it's better for us as a society to get those people rehab than it is to have them just in prison, probably causing more problems than they would otherwise if they were clean, because now they've got a drug addiction and they're trying to do whatever they can to fulfill it while in jail, causing violence or whatever else. So
I met a guy who goes to prisons and he teaches decision-making courses. And his pitch to me was kind of interesting because he's like, they're all in there for decision-making. And my knee-jerk response was like, yeah, well, like, they're all decision-making, right? Every second of life is one decision or another. What do you really mean? But these guys are considering options that most people just don't have on the table. I need some money. Should I knock over a liquor store? Yes or no? Right? We've never thought about that. We've never thought of that as a viable way to get some extra cash, rob a convenience store or a liquor store or what have you. And he's just trying to reprogram people to some extent so that they just say, you know what? The cost benefit on that is not a winning outcome. Even if this goes well and I get $75, I eventually get caught and get 3 years. This sucks. And
a lot of people that commit burglaries, robberies, it stems from some other issue, and that's why they're committing the crimes. In some of those cases, do they deserve prison time? Absolutely. However, once again, let's look at the issue. Why did he? Because sometimes, armed robbery, they do it, and I'm not saying it's right at all. So hey, if my department's watching this, at no point am I saying that armed robbery is good, but they might be committing these crimes because of an addiction, or hey, here's a big one: is what's your family upbringing? What was your upbringing like? We model our parents, whether you want to or not. Now, sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. So let's. I'm not a big proponent of what they're called. They call defund the police, but someone explained it to me. Hold on, actually, let me take it back. A buddy of mine's a criminal defense attorney, and he said, we're not saying defund the police. We're saying let them get back to fighting crime. Let's deal with the issues, some of the other issues law enforcement's being called out to. Let the professionals deal with that, because we're acknowledging you guys are working a lot harder than you need to. You need to be fighting crime, not being a counselor, psychologist, social worker.
The skill set required for policemen is too broad, right? You guys are sometimes dog catchers. You're sometimes dealing with the homeless. You're sometimes dealing with the addicted. And you're sometimes dealing with the, armed robbery. If we could maybe have someone else deal, like if there's a homeless guy and he's stopping customers from going into a store, that doesn't need to be a policeman in there. That could be some other kind of specialist who helps them get back on their feet and puts them in a program.
The vagrant squad.
Sure. And
those guys don't need guns. They need clubs. Because some of those hobos, they won't feel a gunshot. You got to really you got to send the message home.
I'm thinking Negan from Walking Dead, right?
Yes, one of those bats with the wire on.
Dude,
or even better, we can decide one city that we all as Americans are okay with making shitty, and then we will incentivize every homeless
St.
from
Louis.
everywhere to no.
You're halfway there, Taylor.
You know what? I disagree with
Chicago?
this now. Because the obvious solution to this would be St. Louis.
I watched Escape from New York.
It's Detroit. Take your pick.
New York's already an island. New York is already an island, right? We could just knock down the bridges and put them there.
They made a movie about that.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Isn't that how Australia started? Isn't this just Australia? Isn't that how Australia
Look how well that worked out.
Yeah, it was an island of convicts from England that they just went and dropped off.
And now look at them. Now they got fun things to do down there. A lot of fun, not a lot of crime.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of racist to the Aboriginal folk.
Some good coral reefs, I hear.
All right.
Yeah, good
for now.
Good coral. Well, good coral reefs for now. Get it in while it's hot. Because those are going away. Those are probably going to be gone.
Well, one thing I would use this platform to say, guys, don't hate us. Don't hate all law. You're anti-blue. Don't understand we're people too. Yes, there are bad. And
So
yes,
are the Nazis.
And we agree, some of them are bad.
Some of the Nazis were wrong.
Hold on.
Some of them
Wait a minute.
probably okay.
See, Josh was misunderstood. See, the pod boss, he was just misunderstood. No, but hey, don't hate us all. Yes, there are bad, but there are many more good.
I like you.
Well, I certainly don't hate you, Mark. I think you're a
there.
very likable guy. Everybody's going to like you.
Hey, I'll treat all of y'all to a day.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
We'll do it.